Hello. Hi, everybody. Let me get my settings here. Hello. Happy Saturday night. I hope you guys are doing well. Thank you for being here. Let me grab my chat room. Hi, hi. Soulmates, twin flames, soul contracts. I actually have more in my notes because you know how I am. I've got like a lot. I have like 4 pages tonight. So I've got to kind of make sure I have everything just so. Tonight, the pen is blue. The pen is blue for healing. Okay. And let me adjust real quick. There we go. I have to get some notes here. Not doing any readings. I just need something to do with my hands just for a minute. So I hope you guys are doing well. As a spiritualist, and I've been doing these readings my whole life, but this is the number one question. When am I going to meet my soulmate? And every time someone comes to me specifically with that question, I'm like, I mean, it's an easy go to answer. It's an easy go to answer saying never to somebody because the chances of us meeting a legitimate soulmate, the kind that's like split from heaven and turned into a human, and it takes a lot to get people on the same path that way. Sorry. Um, I'm looking at some of my notes, but it's an interesting concept because basically if you want to just go with pop culture, then you're just whoever you choose to be with, right? That's your soulmate, that's the person, that's got to be it. No. Usually no. um Adult bingo, awesome. I just noticed that. It just kind of caught my eye. I'm like, hey, is that like dirty bingo? What kind of bingo is it? I have questions. Beer? Is there beer or wine at adult bingo? Um, the problem is when we say, is it meant to be? Well, I believe everything's meant to be. I have a belief system, so I'm going to share mine. You guys can chat and share yours. I have a very, after just doing all these readings, I got to tell you, I've learned the most by doing readings for other people since I was a little kid. And I used to fuck around with pendulums and the yes nos and dealing with, like even our little notes, like the 4 square notes that you used to do. I used to do those thinking that destiny controlled that, my Ouija boards, and just like all this stuff. And always the question, something like, is this meant to be? Is that meant to happen? Stuff like that. Just, since I was a kid. But the whole meant to be concept isn't like one person has been specifically chosen just for you because, and this is where it gets a little hairy, not everybody grows up to get married or find somebody. Some of them pass away at a young age. And does it mean that they were exempt from the soulmate connection? No, it doesn't. So people lose perspective when we talk about love and romance. If we step into spirituality, which is very neutral, non egotistical, which as a human, we all have ego and we all like kind of throw our emotions in there. But if it's non egotistical and it's spiritual, and we think about the bigger picture, not just like our own specific desires, which I'm going to speak of later on. Desire is a big issue with the whole spiritual connection, soulmate, twin flame, contracts. We're all, if we meet people, we're all meant to meet them. We're always contracted to meet people for different time frames. I'm itching like crazy. You guys are like going at it. And the bottom line is that kids die, but they have soulmates walking this earth too. You know what I'm saying? They just don't get to fall in love. They just don't get married. It's tragic, right? But that is the truth. Not everybody is meant to be with somebody. So that whole concept, I'm pretty sure, died like 25 years ago. People started evolving a little bit more. However, you would be surprised at the amount of people I communicate with on a daily basis that still has that old school frame of mind in their head, which of course, do I judge? No. However, when we're talking about the realistic energy surrounding soulmates, twin flames, and stuff like that, and what I've learned and what I've seen and what I've experienced and what I've done with other people, just the work with other people has like shined the light in my eyeballs. There literally isn't a situation unless you're never coming back to this earth again. And that's going to be a huge topic tonight is incarnations, and what we go through. And I will be reading your comments in a minute. Sorry, I know you're talking, but you know, some people are making good comments already that I really want to dig into. I just want to cover what I have to say, and then we're going to get into it. The thing is I believe they're all real. Like some people wonder if it's fake or made up. Well, there are people that will make up the connection with another person and slap a label on it because they're crazy. And I say that in fun. Or they truly believe it, but it's just not. But you can't prove any of it. So the problem is that we can talk about spiritual connections, and I can give you symptoms, and I will. I will give you symptoms, but what you're going to notice is that I'm going to break down the different types of spiritual connections that are most common that we interact with on the daily, and that includes soulmates and past life connections, stuff like that. But none of them can be proven because we're all human. None of us can actually say, here's my book, here are my records. God is right there showing me, here's the list of people, and here are their names, and here are the type of connections they are. So let's talk about the soulmate one. That is the biggest one, is the most commonly used title to talk about the one. That's the next one. The one is literally a choice. If you want to call the person that you married a soulmate because you're in love with them, great, fine. No judgment. Are they the one for you? Absolutely. Could they be maybe one of a few? Yeah. From my experience and visualizations I've gotten through meditation and just clairvoyancy, I've seen like this example of soulmates is where you hold a glass, you drop it to the ground, it explodes, and all the little pieces are part of that glass. That is the best way, the best visual I can give you to describe a soulmate. Never have I dropped a glass, and I've done this a lot because I do it all the time, like once a year. I literally do it just to see, and I hold it at the same length and on the same flooring, and they break differently every time. That could be partially due to physics, you know. Let's be realistic. And then the other part, if you only want to talk about energy, spiritual energy, it would be because our soulmates pass away, as do we, and they are here to not guide us, not be with us, but in spirit be with us to complete a picture. It's like a puzzle. We each are a piece and we have a job to do. And if we don't do the damn job, then our picture won't be complete. Here's the thing about soulmates. You can reincarnate with them a million times over, or maybe more. I don't know how many times technically, I can't prove it, but I've seen it. So it's like saying you can have 5 soulmates. Let's say 5. Let's keep it simple. 5. In this lifetime, that means that you've already had lifetimes with them over and over and over again. So a soulmate can be a past life connection. Sometimes a past life connection is not a soulmate. So I always say that a soulmate's a past life connection because you broke off from the same damn part of the soul. So you're going to reincarnate until you guys can come together to be one perfect soul. And then you're never coming back to earth again. We have no use for you. And, we talked briefly in the last session about Sylvia Brown and spiritual contracts and how many incarnations she had that she could remember from cell memory and from meditation and stuff. I think she was in the 70s, and someone never got back to me about the actual number. And I was in the 20s. I believe I was like 22 or something. And so I'm a part of a bigger piece of the pie. And a pie is probably amazing, but I'm only a little fucking piece. Now, is there a guarantee that my one piece is going to do all the work? Absolutely not. That's why we break off. So that's the easiest way I can describe the soulmate. Now, the twin flame. Now, here's what there's so many different opinions, and I encourage everybody to read up, do whatever you want to do, right? And of course, you're going to believe what you want. I'm not here to change your mind if you have a certain perspective, right? I mean, that's not what we're doing here. We're just collaborating, right? I'm leading the conversation with all my shit, and then we're going to bounce back and forth in the chat. So, no, I'm not going to push you to believe me. But I am going to let you know that I've seen more delusional belief systems than I have realistic ones. So, people don't understand that the twin flame, literally, it's your twin. So that means that glass broke in a perfect, like 50-50 break, and then you can put it back together and nothing will get in the way of that. Like once you put it together, everything's perfect. There's no other cracks. It's pretty impossible if you think about it. Okay. It's really, really impossible. Why am I seeing the moon right now? I don't know, but I got a visual of the moon that's out right now. It's amazing, by the way. I saw the moon on the way to work tonight with a clear sky, and it was stunning. And I want you guys to go outside tonight. I'm just pointing it out. But anyway, it just popped in my head. I'm like, oh, okay. So there's illumination that comes from meeting a past life connection, a soulmate. And if you're on that crazy ride to heaven forever, the twin flame, because the way I've been shown or seen or whatever I've gone through, that twin flame connection does happen at the end of the end. Like you're never coming back. Again, we can't prove it. We have no fucking clue. So that it's pretty impossible. What I don't like, okay, and everybody can probably attest to this too, there's a negative energy that surrounds us, putting labels on our romantic connections, our friendships, our family members, any connection we make. Okay, even our short-term bitches, right? You can end up becoming negative, obsessed. There can be unhealthy ways of seeing things. Here's a good example. The number one thing I see with my clients is that they call me freaking out because they think they fucked up their soulmate and that they'll never have a chance at love again. And it's dreadful. And, I'm sure we've all thought something along those lines, maybe not using the term soulmate, but it's insane. You know what I mean? Shay, I'm in Ohio. It's actually good here. I don't know where the overcast is. I got lucky though. So anyway, I'm going to go through the symptoms. I know you guys are already asking questions. There are some symptoms of certain types of connections. Is it foolproof? Is it 100% for every single person on earth? No, these are general to cover the masses, but everybody will have very specific things that they connect with in terms of, dealing with a past life connection or a soulmate or whatever the connection is. It's not going to be specific to you with every connection you have, right? So I want to talk about the most likely soulmate. Okay, so it's actually right there in your backyard. It's your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, your children, your best friend, your fucking dog. I don't know, but I don't think the dogs count. But anyway, I'd like to include them too. It's gonna be a very strong contractual agreement. Now, our families are always contracted to us for the sole purpose, literally SOUL, purpose of evolution. Here's the example. You guys watched me last week. I had a fucked up upbringing, really fucked up. Mom and dad were a disaster. They chose to be together, free will, right? I, as a child, was contracted to mom for sure. Could it? I mean, she could have had another daddy. Who knows? But, I was with that man. My sister was with that man. We were contracted to be together. That's it. When it's your children and you have a psychic bond that's like ridiculous, then that's a sure sign that they're part of the soul family. Not all family members are part of your soul family. Others are just past life connections here to womp your ass so that you're better than them. Like literally, their job is to be shitheads so that you're going to be better than them. It's like, that whole past life thing. Okay. So it's really interesting. So let's start with that. So you can have a past life connection who is a soulmate. Okay. All soulmates are past life connections though. Some past life connections, which is literally being in a previous lifetime, not just this one, but a previous lifetime with that soul fragment. I'm going to call the person a fragment because who knows what they look like, what the point was. You could try and do a regression, a meditation, whatever you need to do. Regressions are usually in the form of meditation or hypnotism, but you can try and find that out. But basically, that fragment has come back in human form. You've interacted, whether it's temporary or long term, but past life connections are all about learning. Okay, teacher student connections you can have with a regular spiritual tie, which I'll get into in a minute. But usually, everybody we meet, we learn something from, even if it's a simple someone holds the door for you at Walmart and you're like, thank you, sir. And then you walk away and that's it. Like they taught you, you know, I guess just politeness, or they did something nice for you to kind of make you feel like, hey, when someone holds the door open for you, it shows that people give a fuck. It doesn't mean that they love you, it means they give a fuck. So that 2 seconds of someone else's time spent on you actually does mean something in terms of soul contracts. You know, Uncle Joe and his cool hat holding the door. That's his job, I guess. Okay, now here's something I want to, this is a personal experience that I thought I couldn't figure it out for the longest time. I have two stepdaughters, okay? 17 and 14. My husband was married briefly, but she had a child with another guy. That guy signed away his rights. My husband adopted that child, and then their other child is his biological daughter. So the 14-year-old is his biological daughter. The 17-year-old is the ex-wife's biological daughter with someone else, and he adopted her. Got it? I have an adopted stepdaughter. It is the strangest connection. We have a very psychic bond. Like we will think and say the same thing at the same time. We have the same taste in music. She's very strange, and I'm strange, but she's different, strange. And then she hates me. Like it's the weirdest thing. It's a love hate to the hilt type connection. She drives me fucking nuts. But a lot of people assume she's my daughter when we're out together. It is the weirdest thing. It's my husband's adopted daughter. And for years, I couldn't figure it out. Since she was 6 years old, I met her when she was 6. She's 17. She'll be 17 and a half soon. As fucked up. So some of the symptoms of a past life connection, a soulmate connection, a normal spiritual tie, everything is wrapped up in this little shit. And she is a little shit, let me tell you. She knows it. I don't care if she sees it. She's going to be fine. It literally is the most bizarre connection ever. But it is that connection. And I think we both bitch about each other more than we love each other, and that's fine too. But the point is it's so tumultuous. It is like when you watch these movies about lovers, except that, totally platonic, but there's always a problem. There's always a problem. So she literally, if I think about her and the kind of energy that surrounds her with me directly, just us two, I can mark everything on the soulmate, past life, blah, blah, blah box. But I'm thinking she's more of a karmic thing. She's going to kill me in the end. But I'm telling you, there's something there. And the oddest part about this, and I want you guys to pay attention to this, she's not his biological daughter. And I mean, we're married, but he's been married before. I mean, it was such a weird situation. And I feel like whatever happened with her, and it has nothing to do with, I don't think me and him are, like the soulmate connection, like that weird romantic thing. That's not how it is. But I believe that we have contracts with children before we have romantic ones, if that makes sense. So I think that I have a greater purpose in her life, her with me, because she was a young kid, at the time of my meeting, if that makes sense. And actually, meeting her and her sister drove me into the position I'm at with my husband. So there's a lot that surrounds the kids. So you got to understand that. And so I'm looking at my notes. So the adoptive thing is interesting because there are people that go out and adopt children because they can't have any of their own or whatever. My husband stepped up, he was the hero. That's what he wanted to be, right? And then I ended up doing the same thing inadvertently because baby mama was literally just a baby mama doing jack shit. So I had a purpose for a period of time there. Now, some of the signs: past life, soulmate, twin flame. It pains me to say twin flame, by the way. I'm like, oh God, I'm saying the words. All of these things are the same. Okay. Dreams, having dreams about random people and then you meet them, it's like, what the fuck? There's a contract there. Telepathy, random thoughts about the person and then they show up and they call and all that. That's psychic, but it's also kind of a sign that you're on the same wavelength. Keep in mind that you can live with a person who is not a soulmate for 20 years and be on the same wavelength. This is why it's rough. The soulmate thing is rough because we can't prove it, right? So here's the problem with those symptoms. These are basic symptoms. I have more. Because, we're placed in certain spots in our lives, right? Even if people think they have free will, they do to a degree, but then there's other things you can't explain. So I'll get into that in a minute. But we can't confuse being on the same wavelength from, being a soulmate and like, that's it, that's got to be it, to being empathic and being able to pick up on people's vibes and having thoughts come to you and being psychic. You can be psychic. Like me, I'm psychic for so many people that I literally believe that I do not have a personal connection with anybody. It's just me being psychic. I know this to be true. My husband and I are on the same page a lot in terms of stupid shit. So like I'll be thinking about basketball and then he'll be like, I got to watch a basketball game. I'm like, well, I'm either psychic or I just know you very, very well. So there's that. But I do not feel, I've never felt like he was an actual piece of my soul. I feel like he's more maybe a karmic situation, a spiritual connection, which is pretty much anybody you've ever met in your life. Everything's a spiritual connection, but then we elevate the labels because they have different roles in our current lifetime. Okay. So the twin flame, that one half of your soul, most of the time that's going to be wishful thinking. I can't tell you, and I'm going to express this and I'm going to get hate and I don't give a fuck. The amount of psychics that I've seen in my lifetime, whether they're tarot readers, mediums, it doesn't matter. I've seen them literally abuse the twin flame concept in many ways. Not everybody abuses the twin flame to get clients or to scam money or whatever. They literally believe so much that everything is twin flame meant to be. They whip out a card, they're like, they are your soulmate. It is incredibly manipulative and ridiculous. Like I'm trying to watch my words here, but I've seen it be abused so much that I'm totally disgusted. And so anytime someone's like, they're your twin flame, or I'm talking to my twin flame on the phone, I throw up in my mouth. Like, what the fuck? No, you're not. Don't tell a client this is their soulmate, this is their twin flame, ever. I don't. You cannot predict a soulmate or a twin flame coming. You don't know this. Nobody knows this, not even me. But when we do general readings, I knew people are already on my shit about this. You can pull cards like the Two of Cups and the Lover's card together and go, fuck me, this is some crazy spiritual tie. Well, everything's a spiritual tie, but it's elevated. Does it mean they are your soulmate? You're meant to be with them for the rest of your life? Amen. No. Could it mean that it's soulmate energy? What that means, yes, it means it could be soulmate energy. What that means is they have the attributes of a soulmate. Listen carefully. They have the attributes of a soulmate. Maybe, maybe not an actual soulmate. So when you go to a tarot reader or you watch mine online, I say soulmate energy. That's what I mean. I don't mean I just predicted everybody's fucking soulmate. The sign of Virgo, everybody's meeting a soulmate this week. No. What I'm telling you is you're going to meet somebody, whether it's someone you're attracted to or not, physically, sexually, that's going to make you feel like you've known that motherfucker before. Could they be a past life connection? Yes. Can they be someone that's meant to be here for 5 fucking seconds? Absolutely. You meet them at a party, they're here for an hour, they're gone, you never meet them again. There's so many different ways I can explain this, but I wanted to cover the psychic readings. Nobody should ever tell you, yes, this is your soulmate, yes, this is your twin flame, because they don't fucking know that shit. Run. If they say soulmate energy, you can always ask a clarifier question just to make sure that you're clear about what the fuck they're talking about, because everybody's got their own idea of what that means. I just told you what mine is. Mine is you met someone that's making you wake the fuck up, or you feel like you've known them forever and that you've got this bond that's like an instant bond, because you can feel that. You're not delusional for feeling that. You might be delusional for thinking they're your soulmate and you're going to marry them if they disappear and never call you, because you'll know that. The twin flame thing, it's like I almost want to take that phrase and throw it out the window and say, who fucking cares? Who cares, right? Like, who cares? All right, let me move on. So, part of the past life connection thing, it is probably the most important connection you're going to have. Those are what we call karmic connections. You are in a cycle with someone over and over again, like codependent relationships, obsessive relationships. They tend to fall in the past life category because you never complete your fucking business, or you did it in the past and now you're like, deal with it, motherfucker. Deja vu. You've known each other forever, and you probably have, because you've been in the same thing for like 20 lifetimes. Who knows, right? 5, 20. What it is it's the same exact cell memories. So if you're having a conversation with this person and you're like, damn, I know you. Well, yeah, you do. You sure do. They might have looked like a woman, or they might have looked like a bird, who knows? But yeah, you do. There's that familiar sense of belonging because you've been through shit together. Maybe like this, less like this, right? Parallel, whatever. Um, but the cell memories is what you guys carry to the other side when you pass, right? And then you come back, and that's if you guys believe in that. I don't think everybody believes in reincarnation, but that's the past life deal. So if you believe in past lives, you would probably believe in reincarnation, but the cell memories come back to the surface when you connect with that person. I don't care for how long, but generally it's there to like wipe the slate clean. And then you can fight that with your free will. You can fight it. You can say, no, we're meant to be in love, but yet they're married to someone else and they won't leave their wife. Could they be a soulmate? Sure. Does it mean you're meant to be together? No. Could they be a past life? Sure. So you see how this works. It's like I can repeat myself, and I probably will quite a lot, because they all kind of come together in the same bowl of what the fuck is this life? What the fuck is this life? And what am I meant to do with all of these connections? How do I decipher the difference when the symptoms are all the same? You just deal with the reality of the situation. So if something repeats itself over and over but never gets resolved, it means that most likely you're not doing the right thing with that person. Your mindset is wrong about what connection you have. What is that label you slapped on to this mom situation, dad, siblings, your friends, your lovers, your exes, whatever, right? Your current partner, I feel like if we're more realistic about the labels we slap on people, our expectations go down. And then we'll get more out of that person and find our true happiness. And guess what? You will still be meant to be with that person. They may not have that much higher elevated label, but when we don't put labels on people and we allow them to just be, we get more from them. So there is the realistic approach. Then there's the like otherworldly kind of psycho approach. And then there's the dream stance. That's something. A spiritual connection is basically anybody you meet ever. I have a spiritual connection to you guys. Even if you hate my fucking guts, we have a connection, damn it. And you better just deal with it. Now you're going to leave and I'll never see you again, but thank you. That was it. That was our connection. The unhealthy attachments. I'm trying to get through this quickly so I can go look at the chat. The unhealthy attachments that come from the label is ridiculous. The amount of people I've spoken to over the years who end up getting, or I would say acquiring, an unhealthy attachment based on this idea that they are the soulmate. I don't even know. I can't tell you how many people. I'm going to tell you a couple of things. We talk about narcissism in almost every chat, right? Some people will go out of their way because they want something from you to be whatever they think you need them to be. And if they need to use the word soulmate to get in your pants or to get in your bank account or to get into your head and steal your beautiful ideas or to, steal your dreams and they'll do it. And so you could literally get a manipulative piece of shit pretending to be a soulmate, and guess what? They've duped you. And then you're in the most ridiculous pain you've ever been in your entire life because you were vulnerable and you believed. It happens to a lot of people. It doesn't happen to everybody, but it does happen to so many people. We probably have more victims of narcissistic personality disorder and abuse than we do normal average people. And I'm not just talking about people who've gone through some stuff. I'm talking about people who have gone out of their way to pretend to be a soulmate, okay? They'll do whatever they can. And so this kind of pulls out the depression, oppression, and codependency out of somebody. And it could make you weak. It can make you feel like you're nothing in the end. It can make you obsessed with that person because they've convinced you that they're your fucking soulmate, but really they're just an asshole, right? So you have to believe what you see and feel. You have to believe your intuition over the concept of soulmate, twin flame, whatever, right? Because if you don't, you can fall prey to this kind of crap. Everybody can fall prey to shit. Everybody does. Empaths are the worst. We are loving, caring people. The light bulb is shining on the top of our head. It's like saying, enter, please, and take that dick and put it right up my ass. Thank you. I like dick up my ass. That's what we're saying. We don't want to say that. That is not what we're trying to say. We're trying to make a connection. But the problem is that, and I'm going to go through this briefly because I have a whole nother show, probably 3, because I do everything in trilogies. We'll be back to revisit this later. But I feel like people who go out of their way to create a soulmate scenario for you have very specific things they do. And it's weird because though the narcissists of the world don't have a club, we think they do, but they don't. They all do the same shit. So, desire. Let's talk about desire versus soul. Desire is derived from the ego. I'm losing my voice. Sorry. Desire is derived from the ego. Soul is soul. Soul is spiritual. Soul is pure. Desire does not mean they're your soulmate. Desire is what you want. You're attracted. You want them. They want you. Fine. But there are other things that contribute to a real soulmate situation. Let me tell you what the soulmate situation is not, or the twin flame situation. I'm trying to avoid that. It is not, you're married, they're married, everybody's having an affair. That's not what that is. That is free will to stay married, to have an affair. Those things can be fixed. Soulmate situations happen with catastrophe that are not within someone's free will. So you're standing there in Arizona and there's a fucking earthquake and you fall into the cracks and die. You didn't do that on your own. Your soulmate's watching you go down the drain there. You can't control that, right? That's not the same thing as the free will factor where you choose to be married, they choose to be with someone, whatever. Could you have a soul tie with them? Sure. But those are not the kind of blocks. Yes, I'm doing it. Those are not the kind of blocks that indicate a soulmate connection. Another good one, let me find it. Hold on. Physical illness. Okay, that's a big one, a huge one. You can't control cancer. You can't control AIDS. You can't control those big ones, right? You can't control car accidents. You can't control those things. So those things that are driven by universe, God, your blueprint, that could indicate a spiritual tie to somebody, that sudden loss. You could be married to that person or not. They could be your friend, they could be your child, they could be your mother, your father. You see what I'm saying? Those sudden losses that cannot be controlled by free will, meaning if you can use your brain, your mouth, or your physical body, it's not a soulmate situation. Remember, there's a soulmate and a soulmate situation. The soulmate situation you cannot control. Twin flame, etc. Past life. I'm heavy with that one because I know a lot of people are probably like, fuck you, bitch. Like, here's my reason why my married blah, blah, blah is my soulmate. Okay, fine. Believe it. And when they never leave their wife, know that they chose not to, and it has nothing to do with your spirit. Just saying. Okay. Now, note I've explained in the past, session that I don't actually judge cheating. If it happens to me, then I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Like if my husband goes out on me, I'm like, bye, whatever, because that's a choice and that's not my problem. But the soul connection can drive people, or the belief of a soul connection can drive people into some crazy land of desire that is just damaging to your psyche. It becomes obsessive, codependent. You turn everything into a spiritual thing. Do I believe everything happens for a reason? Yes. I also believe in, well, if I made that choice, I chose to make that happen, then that happened for a reason. The reason was I wanted it that way, good or bad. So there's that. Okay. Brick walls and blocks. We're starting to cover that a little bit. Okay. So that it's meant to be. Everything's meant to be. I said it earlier, but I'm saying if you think you are meant to be in a specific relationship with a specific person, could you be right? Yes. Could you be wrong? Absolutely. So what do? Do you bother with the label or do you chuck it? I say chuck it. Who cares? Because in the end, you're going to get what you need. Maybe not what you want, but what you need from every connection that you make, online, offline. Okay? All right. Backstabbing and lies. Okay, let's talk about assholes. Let's talk about the people who step in the way of a connection, friendship, love, family shit. You know how you get those third parties that don't like, your sister's pissed that you're very close to your mom, like your soulmates, they're jealous, and they start some shit. Those are blocks that you can't control. That it's like when other people's free will, jealousies, insecurities, egos in general get in the way of a situation, and it's not where you're doing anything wrong or stealing their husband or wife, but things that you can't control, basically other people's shit. That could indicate, especially if it goes on and on and on, it never gets resolved, because most of the time those things will get resolved. If it never gets resolved, you could have a karmic situation. You haven't learned what you have been meant to learn, or they didn't learn anything, or the person causing all the ruckus isn't getting it either. Like all three of you guys are fucked. It's a past life thing, and we got to work it out. And some of you will get those karmic ties busted, because you'll see it in readings. I'll look at a card and go, oh, you clip the cords, and it's done. Great. You can clear out spiritual contracts, but in terms of getting rid of contracts for good, you can't. What you can do is clear out a contract with that person, but then another one's going to pop up and you're going to have to deal with it. This is a job. We are here to do a fucking job for the universe, for God, for whoever. And we don't stop working till we die. And maybe we come back, who knows? But we don't stop working till we never come back again. So remember that everything we do has a specific purpose and a reason, and we may never know what the fuck that is. Physical illness and catastrophe we talked about. Keep a positive but realistic perspective, okay? So if you can do that, and now I'm going to go into the chat. If you can do that, then amen, right? Okay, I haven't even been looking at my thing. So I'm not going to see everybody's stuff, but I'm going to go all the way to the top here. Katie Burke, you said you have a connection to your son, but not your other two kids. That can be. Sometimes we don't even know we have the spiritual connection. We may not feel it like we think we should feel it. Um, you know how I was talking about symptoms? Some of the symptoms would be just like the serendipitous kind of shit where you're on the same exact wavelength and you don't even know where the fuck that other person came from. There's all those things. Sometimes it's a soul contract and not a soul mate. It takes a while to figure out. Sometimes you never figure that shit out. Who are you? Julie. So here's the thing about contracts, they cannot be broken because they're contracted prior to incarnation. Like I said, you can clear one out, but then there's another one, right? Like if you have a contract with someone, unless that lesson's learned, it still is, you're still contracted to them no matter what. The whole thing about soulmate is because they're a part of your soul, you may or may not have an actual contract with them. Can I just repeat that? Because Julie made a point and I forgot to mention it. Just because you have a soulmate doesn't mean you're going to meet them, does not mean you have a contract with them. Because I always envision like these little pieces of glass going all over the world on other planets, somewhere else, right? And we don't know. They could be doing something else to help that soul evolve, but you're never going to meet them ever. They could be a fucking 3-year-old kid and you're 50. You know what I'm saying? You'll never fucking meet that Asian kid if you're in America and they live in Singapore or something and they're fucking 3 years old. You know what I mean? There's those kind of situations that you'll never figure out ever. So we can't say that we'll know all of this. We don't. But there are pretty strong indicators of a connection that are just crazy. And sometimes you just can't explain it. Those are the ones, but not the ones that, oh, they're so hot. They're so talented. They're so pretty. And then you just decided that that was going to be your soulmate. You know what I mean? Okay. Kelsey Cook. Okay. So the past life connections, you'd be amazed at how our family members, maybe, I was thinking how many, I was thinking, we have been probably incarnated with them more than most because that's who we are going to be. Well, they're going to breed us, but then they're going to raise us. And that, keep in mind, we can create karma in a current lifetime because we talked about that in the last session. And then as we're creating karma, we're also being sent connections. Let's just call them connections. It's actually a bad word in a psychic reading because when someone's like, I have a connection to them, and I'm like, yep, I know. You poor thing, you have a connection to this person. You can't seem to stop thinking about them. That's where we get those unhealthy attachments. But family seems to be the hardest to break. And those are generally the ones that have been past life connections the most. Let me see what else. Okay, hold on a second. Okay, I had to take care of something. All right, let's see what else. Okay. All righty. I just don't, I don't want to be distracted, so I'm sorry about that. All right, so I'm reading some of these comments. Okay. I need to find the big one. Sorry. Shay, that's very lovely. Okay, I just happened to read your comment. Okay. Okay, so Mary Ann W. Okay, so you were making mention of something I brought up earlier briefly. So here's the thing. Breaking a connection in spirit is not the same thing as breaking it in person. We make the choice to not call, not talk to them, not look up their Instagram or Facebook or whatever. We can make those choices that would help maybe alleviate some of the issues. When people are accessible the way they are, that accessibility can drive us into obsession. And so when that person's far away and you have that, thing there, it depends on what your purpose is in looking them up. But if it's like an ex or someone that never got off the ground or something, the unfinished business is what's driving you to keep the connection. In spirit, it's different. Okay. So remember, like spiritual stuff, we don't really control. but then the in-person stuff, we have more hands-on. So could you essentially break that tie? Yes. Okay, just so you know. Um, but I think that for the most part, if there's something you can't control, then that's it. What are you going to do? You know? Madeline, Donahue, that could be also you being psychic, because a lot of times we have telepathic connections to people, whether they're one-time deals or they're long-term, like repeated. That's like a separate type of connection. Having a psychic connection to somebody and then having an actual soulmate connection, those could be different as well. It's really hard to prove, you know? But rest assured, you had a connection of some kind, you know? The thing is like the tornado, the soulmate, the twin flame. I might as well call it the twin flame tornado. You get sucked in and then totally ruined with the concept of it. And so I worry about that, you know? Carrie Martin, you can't even prove that. Like you only know what you know, right? So like you and that other person may feel differently toward each other. So I worry about that. There are still one-sided situations out there. So remember that, yeah, maybe you and the other person feel the same, and that's great. You know, like I have an ex, we feel the same about each other, but we know that we'll never be together because we can't. It's awful, but it's a spiritual energy, and it's great. And it's actually the easiest connection I could let go of. He's probably the only person in my life that I've ever felt a soulmate tie to, was this ex-boyfriend of mine. um I mean, I miss him certain times, but as a friend, it's really interesting because we dated twice in a big relationship, but we just couldn't make it work. But there is like no issue. It is the coolest fucking connection, whatever it is. I'm sure it's all of it, past life, la la la. But let me tell you something, cutting the cord is no problem. Coming back together, also no problem. Not coming back together for love, though. Like, no. But both of us are married now, thank God. But in the end, it's like the best kind of connection because I have a realistic perspective of it, and so does he. And it's like, cool. Like, we always know that if something happens, we can reach out and there's no judgment. That is so cool. And you can have that kind of a connection with anybody, you know, in your family, your friends, or whatever. If you have that connection, be blessed. You know, you're blessed. And especially because you can part ways and not cry, you know, that's when you know it's something healthy, not something unhealthy. And when I mean cry, I don't mean tears of joy. I mean, you know, hyperventilating, you know, sick and ugly cry, that kind of shit. I just think it's so unfair to not be able to end up with your soulmate. Some people might. I believe that we end up with them at the end of our life, and not all of them, because there's probably 1,000 of them. Could you? Yes, you can. But if you want to call your husband or wife your soulmate, why not? Fuck it. Like, who am I to say you can't do it? If you feel like you're with one, fine. But I'm letting you know that, you know, from a spiritualist perspective, it's a little more complicated than that, you know? Karmic relationships are a motherfucker. Let me tell you something. You all know what those are. The cycle that repeats and you can't, it's like, why? I've done everything to try and stop the cycle. Well, they haven't. They have yet to learn something. So those karmic relationships are a bitch. Okay. It's not to be placed on the same thing as karmic relationships, which I have also experienced. Amy, it could be multiple connections at once, which is terrifying. Because some karmic relationships are negative, but some are positive. Because you can have a positive past life connection to someone, learn your lesson and be done and have this amazing experience with them, and they could still be a soulmate. You know what I mean? And they don't have to be love, but you know what I'm saying? Like, karmic is not negative. Karmic is also cycle, you know, like cyclical, but in a good way or a bad way. It just depends on how you egotistically feel about what's going on. So it actually, like, it's too hard. And I agree with you about the reason thing. It's too hard to prove. It's too hard to like logically pick it apart. but we are doing that because my reason for doing the show is to talk to people who are wishful thinking. That's really what I'm doing, and I'm hoping that your contributions will help them too. Okay, let me see if I missed anything. I'm getting stuffy, which is really interesting because I'm not in an environment where that should be happening. So I think that's interesting. My physical body reacts to energy even through the internet. It's funny. Um, that's what I felt when I met the tourist, but never thought he was a soulmate. Our connection was just automatic. That is cool. If you can control that shit, way to go, baby. And props to you. Okay, I'm still going through the comments. Sorry. Amy, you keep saying stuff that I disagree with, and I'll tell you why. I agree and I disagree. You're a very interesting person to me tonight. I love it. Here's the thing, nobody can predict soulmate or twin flame, but especially the people in it. Like, I hate that title because it's so unrealistic and unattainable. And it's like nobody can prove any of it. But I missed you. Where are you? The symptoms are the same. That's what I don't agree with. The symptoms are 110% the same as a soulmate connection. There is nothing else. There's nothing else. It, like, literally the soulmate twin flame is like identical. The only difference is that soulmates can break up into many multiples, like including thousands, whereas the twin flame is like a clean break, which is impossible physically. Impossible. So that's where we get to the end of our spiritual road. Now, you don't have to believe it, but to be honest with you, to say that there's totally different symptoms, there isn't. You're just saying there is. So this is the problem I have with that. There are so many people that take it to a level, like, you're at least logical about it, but there are people that take it to some level that's like, just because you want them to be that other half of your soul doesn't mean they are, you know. Like I said, I think the same thing as my husband a lot, but that's because we've been living together for 9 years, married for nine, wait, living together for 9 years, almost married 10, something like that. I don't even know. But I'm just saying it doesn't mean that he's my other half. Like, I don't believe in that shit at all because there's no symptoms there. You know what I mean? Okay, that's for other people. So here's the thing. I don't want, oh, for fuck's sake. Sorry, I'm missing some stuff. Mary, I love that. Mary and W. That's perfect. Okay, how about I just delete this dumbass? Okay, bye-bye. Hey, I don't even know why someone's talking about Jesus in this chat, because this has nothing to do with psychic readings, but okay. And that is being deleted because I don't care. Okay, so can be connected to someone like a soulmate but not be romantically involved? Absolutely, Denise, yes. Yes, you can be. Okay. When you have vivid lucid dreams of the same person, then the dreams happen in real life sequence of how you dreamt them. That is a psychic tie. That is a premonition. That means you are psychic. And if you meet that person and there isn't much there, then that's it. If there is something there, cool, but you just had a premonition and that's awesome. Carrie, I agree with you. You get attached to the idea, not the person. Absolutely. You can ask anything you want. And let me check the time because I'll be picked up here soon. I got husband picking me up. Okay, I want to go into one more thing before I let you guys go. Okay. Okay. Alaska, that is such a good question. You're not off at all. No, not at all. You okay, that's fine that you haven't had that experience because let's put it this way, you have a totally different path than the rest of us, right? I hope you're still here. Because I'm still kind of going through old comments and stuff. You're not off. If you haven't had the belief system, if you haven't had that experience, either A, you're not meant to, B, it will come, or C, who cares? Because I would just say you're not meant to have those feelings that other people have. Like, I don't have the same feelings. I got people pissed off at me because I'm not like sugarcoating the whole soulmate twin flame thing. And they don't want to believe what I'm saying. And that's okay too. So are you off? No. You know, what do I think about some folks never being able to connect with another significant other? Yeah, I think that it can happen like that, where it's not that you don't connect, it's that you don't connect in a way where your ego thinks you should or where society tells you you should. You know, fucking Valentine's Day. I'm married too, right? Fucking Valentine's Day sucks for people who don't believe in that kind of energy interaction. And it's amazing for others that need that. You see what I'm saying? So, what do I think? I think that it's probably your truth. And is there anything fucking wrong with that? No. Do I also think that it is possible for you to attract another person at some point who actually believes the same as you do, and then you actually end up with a real connection? Yeah. Um, can I promise you it's going to happen that way? No. But in the end, if you don't connect with a significant other, then you don't connect and you're not meant to, but you're going to have something more important to do here. You're not just here for nothing. You know, that's at least my opinion. You know. Jazzy, thank you so much, sweetheart. Leo Lass, if you've dreamt of someone you didn't know and then you met them later, again, could be premonition. Spirit was talking to you in your dreams or whatever and saying, hey, this is the one, or this is the person that is going to take you to the next level or whatever. And of course, in a dream, you can't remember everything, fragments. Could they be a soulmate type? Sure, because you were already astrally connecting. So yeah, absolutely. But I can't prove that either. I can say it could be, but I can't say it is, you know? Kristen K, thank you so much. Alaska R, you're hilarious. I love you. Okay. Synchronicities you can't deny, like spirit leading you on the right path. It's like synchronicity versus serendipitous energy. It's kind of the same thing. Could they be soulmates? Yes. Can they be past life connections? Yes. The past life stuff is more lessons to be learned. The soulmate is more about evolution as a whole. And then if you want to actually just tack on the love and romance to a soulmate thing, like you keep meeting the same person, but you never use your free will, it's spirit trying to slap you in the face saying, use your free will. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. Okay, someone's asking a really good question here. So, Misty, can I just say, I think a lot of us have been codependent at some point, so don't feel bad about it. Obsessed, don't feel bad about it. I get obsessed over self-preservation. Literally, I like check people's profiles for self-preservation. It's ridiculous. And that's like my thing. It's like part of my karma, I think. I don't know. But I wanted to let you know I read your comment and I think, you know what? You learned from it probably. Hopefully. Okay. Let's see. I'm missing some people. Oh, Lord. Okay, I'm going to skip that one. I'm just trying to make sure I get everybody. Okay, I think, do you guys have anything else regarding, and I think this is important to talk about, the unhealthy attachments? This is what I wanted to bring up and like round off our session tonight. When you astral plan with the same person over and over again, twin flames. No. Maybe. No, but soul tie, absolutely. Spiritual tie, soul contract, absolutely. Um, anything but a fucking twin flame. That's my opinion. You don't have to believe it. Okay, 1111 is a personal thing. It's not about another person, it's you. So if you're seeing 1111, it's like spirit realigning your path or your higher self realigning your path. And it's a good thing. And that means you're open and aware. So that's good. Angel numbers, you know. So the unhealthy attachment, what is your take on telepathic love and communication? I did mention telepathy earlier briefly. Some people just literally have a telepathic connection like I do with my husband because, well, I'm psychic and I'm always psychic. So I just think that maybe it's telepathy. Sometimes I think I'm just being psychic with him. It depends on your connection to the person. But if it's like constant, I remember when I was like 20, I was like constantly able to be saying the same thing as someone else on the internet all the time, friends, whatever. And it got confusing because I wasn't developed as, excuse me, much as I am now. But telepathic connections exist. And when you can't explain it, especially if they're at a distance, it's like wild. It just means that you have that tie and it's a great one, you know. If there's nothing wrong with it. Again, there's going to be a practical element to every person we meet live or in person or whatever, and just know the difference between maybe a spiritual tie to them that's temporary or a real connection that could embody all of those energies of past life, soulmate, or whatever into a current relationship that works. Like, it can happen. I mean, it's rare that you get all of them, but it can still happen. Okay. That's great. Let me go back up. I'm missing stuff. Reading each other's mind is cool. It's just cool. Like, if anything you guys pull out of this and you feel like that kind of a weird connection to someone else, it's cool. We don't have to break it down and turn it into some crazy elaborate thing. We can just accept it as fucking cool. And aren't we blessed to be able to have that experience? Not everybody gets it. It's true. You know, don't get distracted by it, damn it. It's funny. It's true though. Beth McKinney. Yes, it can be serendipitous type energies coming your way. Can also be signs of good coming your way. And yes, it can be your guides. Okay, cool. All right, so real quickly, I want to talk about obsession, codependency, desire equals, and manifesting. I was going to say desire does not mean that you can manifest this person to love you, you know, just because you've decided to attach yourself, or vice versa. You could actually feel that someone, I want to talk about that, the people that attach themselves to you because you have something they want. I've been through this a lot, and I try and break this cycle, but it doesn't always work. So maybe I've got some weird fucking past life shit going on. And it's with different people, which is interesting. And I have my own pattern. So everything kind of, you know, goes into it. But you don't choose these people to decide to attach themselves to you and pretend to be something they'll never be. You know, they'll lie, they'll give you a big fat story. Um, but I've had, I just saw a comment. I'm like, what the fuck? Um, but I've seen a lot of people go through that whole narcissism issue and egotistical connection that turned out to be bullshit, the whole thing. But it's still spiritual, unfortunately. It's still meant to happen because it was allowed. Listen to what I just said to you. You can have the biggest asshole on the planet attach themselves to you, and it's still fucking meant to happen, even though you didn't call in it or you didn't try to attract it, but it was meant for you. And that's it. People might call you a sucker. People might look down on you for it and think, how easy is that, dumbass? Who cares? You know, who cares? Just recognize some of those symptoms of what each person has done so that you just get better and better at detecting the bullshit. And for the love of God, don't slap that soulmate title on them just because they tell you they feel that way about you. You know, I get a lot of single people who've called me over the years and they will just say whatever because that other person, you know, they'll call them whatever, twin flame, whatever, just because the other person at one point said that to them. It really was just to hook them in, you know. So okay. All right. Actually, we need to have a show on premonitions and knowing when things are actually going to happen and when you're just fearful. That's going to come up soon. I'm going crazy with the itchies though. Okay. So here's the thing. When you get into a situation like that and you realize that someone wasn't honest and they were definitely not your friend, definitely not your lover for the right reasons or whatever, look at it like a spiritual tie, cut it loose, and watch it float away. Make it happen. Okay? Premonitions are fucking cool. Okay. So I think that's about it. I'm not going to keep dragging it out. I want to thank you guys because the chat will still continue to go when the playback comes up and people will get to see all of your stuff. I know I missed a lot of comments. I'm sorry. I just want to keep it simple. I want to keep it simple. I think in the end, does it matter what type of connection it is? No, doesn't matter. What are you going to do with the title? Do we all, and nobody needs a title, I guess I would say. Are you happy? Are you not happy? If we are unhappy, which I've been many times in my life, and we choose to stick with the person that makes us unhappy, do we have a reason? Sure. Does it mean it's a soulmate? No, it doesn't. I just want to, oh, yes. And one more thing, the whole, law of attraction and stuff like that. There are still things I disagree with. Like, it's not like attracts like, it's not your vibe attracts your tribe. Understand that you have a past life and your tribe may be a bunch of dickwads, but you're a peach and they're eating you alive. And then you have to take the core, get buried, and fucking grow again and turn into hopefully another type of fruit. But that's the truth. It's not your vibe attracts your tribe. It isn't. And people need to stop shaming us for being empathetic to people and for trying to be a good person or trying to make connections with people. If you get duped, you get fucking duped. You know, if you go through this a million times, it's because you're just not getting it on a soul level, and that's okay too. But when it comes to people that genuinely love you and care for you and are meant to be in your life, and I mean that on a free will stance, they will be there. Okay? You don't need a fucking label. I don't think you do if you're happy anyway. But lessons learned, a lot of times we slap the label of karma on that one. Okay. So I know people just, you know what, that whole vibe attracts your tribe, it annoys me to no end because I'm like, yeah, that's an easy way of saying something that isn't right. To me, I just feel like there's so many things that contribute to life and what we go through that we can't just say that it's our fault. People make choices. They make choices. We make choices, You know what? If you guys feel like you found that soulmate or whatever, great. You know what I mean? You are welcome. You guys are welcome. Oh, that's Madeline. Madeline, I have it in my notes and I forgot. Thank you. If there's a psychic connection with someone who's obsessively thinking about you and you're an empath, how do you know if you're actually soaking up their emotions empathically or not? It was in my notes and I forgot. Thank you. Love you. You don't know. You don't know until you maybe reconnect with that person and then you have a conversation and you figure out, oh God, Um, I always say that it's always the psychic connection first and foremost. Wait, let me come back to your question. Hold on. It's always a psychic connection first and foremost. If someone is obsessively thinking about you, generally, like bad, it's because you've left their life. You pulled your spirit out of their spirit. You left a big gaping hole in their soul, and they're like, ah, help me. And they're just like thinking about you because you're the one that left. We talked about this with karma last week too. So you might want to reference that. I think it was toward the end of the show. But you don't know unless you purposely have taken yourself out of their life. And all of a sudden you're thinking about it, you're like, what the fuck? I was doing so well. That's usually what people think. Oh my God, I was doing so well. Why am I thinking about this person? Probably because you left them and they won't let you go now. Um, and that's, you'll know because you don't care about them like that. If it's like you both feel the same way about each other, you're at a distance for whatever reason. Let's say they're in the military and they're single, you're single, and you're thinking about each other a lot all the time. Or maybe it doesn't always happen identically at the same time, right? Sometimes you're, 2 3 days apart where they were thinking about you, and then it takes a few days. That happens. It's always psychic first and foremost. Could it be part of a soul connection? Absolutely. But it can also be just like someone staring you down. And I said earlier, not to confuse soulmate energy with like spell casting, obsessive people, or people that are like, even on a negative sense, you could have an ex friend that just wants to take you down and they obsessively think about you in a negative way. And if you are susceptible to their energy, because at one point you had a connection, could it affect your body? Could it affect your work? Yes. Here's an example, guys. Okay. Madeline, you're the best. When I'm doing these public readings, and I say the wrong sign, but I know my brain is saying it's Libra, but I say Leo. I got a Leo and that's why I blew up one day. I was like, shut the fuck up and leave me alone, because they would just like, blah, 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 blah. I could feel it as a psychic. I knew this person was like trying to manipulate the shit I was saying because they're an asshole. I don't know who they are, but they're an asshole. I just decided to slap a label on them because they were tripping me up. I know that that's a psychic thing and only a psychic thing, and I don't know who the fuck they are. That's a good example. But if you do know who they are, we already covered that. Okay. Oh boy, people. Oh my God. Ralph, fuck off. Have a nice life. This has nothing to do with God or Jesus or anything else. You got to go. Oh my God. People are so dumb. Like when they come into my chat, if you listen to what I'm saying, it has nothing to do with the devil or God or Jesus. So I would prefer you guys not bring Jesus, God, or religious belief systems or anything into a spiritual chat. Spiritual is not religious. And I'm being honest, like, I'm not going to put up with it. I don't want to see debates either. It's ridiculous. Like, we're talking about certain topics. Let's stick to the topics. And I know I'm going to get idiots coming in, whatever, but. Oh my God, Beth, right? And I was making a joke when I brought Jesus into my reading. You should know that. And I'm not saying anything negative against people who are religious at all. Not at all. Just, show some respect. Stay where you belong. Empathic. Silvana, it's called an empathic connection. Yeah, I think Jesus would be proud of me because I'm trying to get people to be happy and live their life to where they're not self-sabotaging by using words like soulmate or twin flame. Just saying. You know, the one thing Amy was saying earlier that I totally agree with is that there are contracts above and beyond stuff we'll never see in its higher power if you believe in a higher power. And I totally believe in that, that we can't control everything, only what we have right in front of our face. And to try and turn it into like something crazy. Did you see that one live? Jesus was a Libra. Oh my God. I just say stuff sometimes. Uh, Karen, Karen D. If you see their name everywhere every day, well, I think you might be a little obsessed with their name, and you are calling upon that name to show up, and or you're calling for signs all the time. I would say relax and let go, and maybe look for a real sign. The name might drive you bonkers. I'm just saying. I actually feel bad for you if that's the case. Oh my God, that would drive me nuts. You know what I mean? Oh my God. Um, yeah. Anyway, I just don't want everybody in the chat to like go into religious debates and, you know, I see it as neutral energy. Spirituality is not just about opinions or experiences, it's about collaboration. And I love that you guys are here to talk about this. I don't love that people are trying to damn me to hell because I'm pretty sure Jesus wouldn't like that very much. What the fuck? Anyway, Jesus is a Libra, my new single. Go for it. Um, okay. Sorry, I'm laughing at some of you guys are funny. Sparked intuition. You're welcome. Thank you, Mary Ann. Like it. Okay. Oh, Lord. You guys are funny. Oh, gosh. Tiana Lopez. Let me read your comment. Sorry, I'm taking a minute to read comments. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Really? Holy shit. Wow. He was a cross watcher though. That's what I find. I am so sorry for the loss. Holy shit. But the fact that he's a cross watcher makes my heart skip a beat. I'm just saying. Oh my gosh. Okay. Um CLYN, yes, there is a way to learn about your empathic skills. Go into meditation on your own. Ask for spirit to show you what you got going on. Let it go and go into meditation the next day and the next day and see what happens. Oh, how do I keep positive? I don't even care about the bad comments. I just don't want my viewers to be annoyed. So I do the best I can at blocking idiots. Okay. Tally Jean, is that how did I say your name right? I love them too. Thank you so much for being here. Okay, so I've actually had to ban a few people today. That sucks. I hate doing that. Okay, so is there anything else you guys have for me before I let you go? I think it's pretty easy. I think it's a pretty easy thing. People just don't like me saying that soulmate is not like every single person you find attractive. I had a friend like that, by the way, who like she literally would say to me, I've never felt this way before. She was a Taurus. Um, she was the friend I brought up, actually, the one that went through all her trouble. But yeah, so she for years would be like, I've never felt this way before. And it's like, oh God, again. But the thing is now that I'm thinking about it, she was probably telling the truth because each person brought something different, a different vibe to her, and she probably never felt it before. I'm just saying. No, she was serious. And you know what? She had a thing for like biker dudes, bald biker dudes, and they all look the damn same. Ugh. She never felt this way before. And I'm like, which one was that? Because they all look the damn same, you know? Okay. That's so funny. Oh, one more thing. It is also known, um, it is also known that, believe it or not, and it's not true for everybody, but you'll notice really strong soul ties, not personal ties, soul ties might have the same sun sign as you, even if you're like 20 years apart. So keep that in mind. It's been known to happen. Tina Lopez, you're funny. I kind of like that. Tanya Lee, you're so welcome, my friend. Ooh, I'm missing another question. Um, how do I pronounce your name? Omonia V. Yes, I do. And I don't believe in coincidence ever. I mean, that to me just means on the same page, in the same vibe. I just don't believe in it. I mean, some people do, that's fine. Like when we use the word coincidence, it's like trying to dispel the energy that's coming toward you or just like push it aside. And no, I believe that if you have kind of like some of the same attributes, but the same birth time is interesting because remember at the beginning of the session, if you weren't here, drop a glass to the floor, it breaks. Yes, you can reincarnate with like 20 of those pieces at the exact same time and meet them later in life. Whether they stay or not doesn't matter, but yeah, that could be a soulmate. A okay, I was gonna let you guys go anyway, I guess. I'm sorry about that. If,
Here's info about Louis Anderson. Big
what?
Underwear.
What?
Iconic comedian Louis
Stop.
Anderson brings you his 6th comedy special, Big Underwear, where he plays on the challenges of getting healthy, life on the road, dealing with technology, and how we all.
I'm telling you what. Okay, I can't say anything. Okay. It looks like my ride is on their way. Okay. I swear to God. I swear to God, if I say anything that remotely sounds like I'm calling upon the iPhone, it just like starts coming up with weird things to look up. I don't even know what's going on. It's funny. Or I got a hacker. Probably both. It's hilarious. I like it. Okay. I hope this was helpful to you guys and you enjoyed the collaboration tonight. Oh, my goodness. Thank you for being here. Okay, don't forget my other channel, Intuitive Pathways. That is youtube.com/intuitive pathways. Please remember to subscribe to this channel. I appreciate you all. And I will be Julie, psychic attacked by you know who. Yes. um, thank you so much. So I am gonna go ahead and let you guys go. I want to upload something. I think Cancer's reading needs to get uploaded right now. Um, so Cancer's reading needs to be uploaded right now, and then that's it. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for being here. That's it. I'll see you guys hopefully next week for another conversation. I have a couple of videos coming out on the Veronica Ray channel as well. Ooh, Facebook, Wednesdays and Fridays. Those are the times that I will be broadcasting live there. Okay. See you. Bye.